trusting
that everything's okay. That I'm not like everything for the best result.
um, believing.
Yeah.
Okay. If faith is believing, and Jesus says, he that believes is not condemned. He that faiths is not condemned.
That's not what it says, but
He says faith, as in where is your faith, to the disciples on the ship when they're facing the biggest storm of their life. I'm not sure what chapter that is. I think it's Mark chapter 4 or 5. But I know that they are in a storm. The Geneva Version Bible says that a tempest arose out of the sea because Jesus was asleep underboard in the safe place of the ship. And they go to him and they wake him up and they say, do you care if we perish? The problem is that they laid Jesus to sleep, and then when they're facing the storm, they wake him up. And he gets up, and the Bible says that he would stand on the water and call to the wind, peace, be still. The issue here that I have is that he's standing on everything that troubles the disciples, and he's calling from the wind, peace be still, but who is he talking to? The wind is the temptress that goes abed in the awakening of Jesus. When he steps on the sea comes to a calm. And he says to the disciples, not to the wind nor the waves, peace, be still. I need everything that is inside of you that is troubled to be still, to be reserved, and hear what I'm saying. Where is your faith? The faith was present, but the faith was inactive. You hear me?
yeah.
They believed in Jesus, but still didn't have faith. Faith is not believing. What is faith?
Knowing.
If faith is knowing, then that is knowing something to come to pass, even though you haven't seen it or heard of it. Okay. The Bible says it says now faith is the substance of things hoped for, but it's also the evidence of things that are unseen. But let's put it into applicable terms. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, that's teeny tiny faith. It says you will be able to move mountains. Look up that verse for me. Just type in faith the size of a mustard seed. What does it say?
I'll tell you, if you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, you can say to this mountain,
That's
move.
it. You can do what?
You can say from this mountain. You can say to this mountain, move.
Okay. Now let's break this down. What verse is that?
That's Matthew 17.
Okay. In Matthew 17:20, listen to me. He says, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, this is what you'll be able to do. What will you be able to do if you have faith the size of a mustard seed?
Say to this mountain, move.
Move. How do you get the mountain to move according to faith the size of a mustard seed? There's a mountain standing in front of me, and I need the mountain to move. if I have faith the size of a mustard seed, let's say that I have that, what's the connecting factor between the faith the size of the mustard seed and the mountain that I'm able to get it to move?
Jesus.
No. He didn't say if you had Jesus.
Faith.
Right. But faith is in my mustard seed. Okay. How can I get the mountain to move? I already have the faith in projection the size of the mustard seed. How do I get the mountain to move? What does the text say?
Just tell it to move.
Tell it to move. What is telling it?
Speaking it.
Speaking it. What is speaking it in this equation?
Faith.
Speaking it is faith. There you go. Speaking it is not believing. It's speaking to it. I don't know if the mountain can move, but I speak to it. I've never seen Jesus put a storm to bed, but I'll speak to him. He says, where is your faith that you couldn't speak to the wind and the waves? He says to the disciples, where is your faith that you couldn't heal the little boy by excommunicating, by exorcising the demons, right? He says to the woman with the issue of blood, it's your faith that healed you, after she said that, yes, she touched him. The man who comes to him with the sick boy at home, it is his faith that says, no, Lord, don't come, send the word. It's the faith of the man at the pool of Bethesda that says, I have nobody. You'll never find him contributing faith to an idea that is not outlined in the text. But every time he contributes that their faith heals them, sets them free, their faith would put them in a place where their sins are forgiven, it is by that aspect that their faith has made them whole. Now, Jesus heals them, but their faith allows them to be whole. What is the whole that we're talking about? The whole is the mustard seed that is in my mouth to muster up the strength enough that even though I'm looking at dead things, I'm still speaking life. So when he says that the power of what? Of life and death is where? In your tongue. Now the problem with a tongue is that it is as a two-edged sword. It can give life and it can tear down. And you have to be careful in what you speak, because there are but two things that you can give an account for at the end of everything when it comes down to judgment. That is your works and your words, right? That's why he says you have to believe in your heart and confess with your mouth. Those are two of the requirements. Believing in your heart, not your mouth, and confessing not with your heart, but with your mouth. And then he that calls upon the name of the Lord, the day will come where he will save them. It's by your faith that you're saved. It's by your faith that you're set free. It's by your faith that you're healed. It's by your speaking it that God then grants it in heaven and binds it on earth. He says to the man with the son who throws himself into the fire, he says, the problem is not that you didn't come to the right place. Are you able to speak to it? And he says, yes, I do believe. Watch it now. He says, do you believe? He says, I believe, but help where I do not believe. He didn't contribute the boy's healing to his believing, but through his faith thing. Your faith is, can you speak to it? That God, I'm not sure, but I'm going to talk to it anyway. David defeated Goliath by what? Speaking to it. Samson defeated Delilah. You know how? By speaking to everything that would hold him back